Section 1. You are going to listen to two university students talking about libraries in Australia. First, look at questions 1 to 4. You will see that there is an example already done for you. For this question only, the conversation relating to the example will be played first.
What's wrong, Yumi? You look very serious.
Oh, hi, Marianne. I've just been given the assessment guides for law, my major, and there are lots of assignments.
You'll be spending a lot of time in the library then.
That's my problem. I don't know anything about libraries in Australia.
Oh, don't worry about that, Yumi. Librarians here are really friendly, and most of them are extremely helpful.
Yumi said she doesn't know anything about libraries in Australia, so B is the correct answer. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
What's wrong, Yumi? You look very serious.
Oh, hi, Marianne. I've just been given the assessment guides for law, my major, and there are lots of assignments.
You'll be spending a lot of time in the library then.
That's my problem. I don't know anything about libraries in Australia.
Oh, don't worry about that, Yumi. Librarians here are really friendly, and most of them are extremely helpful.
That's good to hear. My flatmate said I should join the local library. Do you think that I need to?
Well, I think it'd be a good idea. They probably won't have many law books in the library, but you'll be surprised at what they do have. Australian libraries are generally very well resourced. And hey, if nothing else, you can get free internet access.
Is it easy for international students to join?
Yes. Lee Yun has just joined. All you need is your student card or some other ID and an account or bill that has your Australian address on it.
Like a phone bill or an electricity bill? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's all. It's very easy. They encourage people to join the library, and you can borrow lots of books as well as video and audio tapes or CDs. The newspaper is available too if you've got time to stay at the library and read it.
Will it cost much to join the library?
Joining libraries here doesn't cost anything, but you'll have to pay a fine if you return your books after the due date. It's about 10 cents per book per day.
How long can I borrow books for?
The loan period for books is about a month, but you can easily extend the time for another month if you want to. You can even do it over the phone, but it has to be arranged before the due date.
What about the university library?
Haven't you been there yet?
No, not yet. I was sick for the orientation week, and I missed out on the campus tour.
Well, Yumi, I've got an hour before my next lecture. Why don't we walk up together and have a look around?
Oh, that'd be great, Marianne. I'd really appreciate it.
Yumi and Mary Ann arrive at the main entrance to the university library. As you listen to the rest of the conversation, answer questions 5 to 10. Before the conversation continues, read questions 5 to 10.
This is the main entrance. Let's go in.
It's very big, isn't it?
Yes, but here's a map which will help you. Can you see that it's a kind of L shape?
Oh, yes. Is that the circulations desk in front of us?
Yes. That's where all of the incoming and outgoing loans are registered. When you return a book, just put it in the large box over there. See it's marked returns? Just to the right of the desk.
Yes, I see. Can I use the computers behind the desk to access the internet?
Those computers are for the library's database search system only. There are computers in the IT block which we passed on our way here to the library. Anyway, you can search for a book by typing in the title, author, topic, or a keyword.
Are the computers easy to use?
Yes, very easy. Even I can use them.
Does it give a catalogue number after you do the search?
Yes, it does. It'll also tell you in which section of the library to find the book. The library is divided into 3 sections. Straight ahead, behind the circulations desk, is the monograph collection. That just means you can borrow these materials for normal loans.
Monograph collection?
Yes.
I see.
The section behind the photocopiers is for all of the serial publications. That means journals and magazines and newspapers, of course. And the most important section for us is the reference section. You'll use it a lot. Unfortunately, the books in this section can't be borrowed. You have to use them in the library. It's over there, past the quiet study area.
I see. So, do I need to join or register here? Or do I have automatic borrowing rights as a student?
As long as you have your student card, you can borrow books from the monograph collection. Anyone else can access the rest of the library.
What if I can't find a particular book?
That's what the staff are there for, Yumi. Just go to the advisor's desk, take a request card, and fill in the details of what you're looking for.
Where's the advisor's desk?
It's just over there, the desk at the entrance to the quiet study area.
Right. Well, I think I'll have a look now to see if I can find any of the recommended texts for my first law assignment.
Yes, good idea. Texts on the recommended lists from the lecturers are very popular, and you should try to borrow them from the library as soon as you get your list.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Section 2. You are going to hear a tutor talking to a group of philosophy students. First, look at questions 11 to 13. For these questions, complete the blank spaces in the table as you listen to the first part of the talk. Write no more than 2 words for each answer.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Russell, and I am your tutor for philosophy this year. I think we're all here. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, yes, that's everyone. Before we look at the 3 lectures you've had on philosophy this week, I would just like to run through a few things about what you can expect of me as tutor and what in turn we expect of you. As for myself, my function as tutor is to help you in all things relating to your work in the philosophy course. The help that I am able to give is, of course, mainly academic. For personal matters, I can refer you to other support services in the university, ranging from counselling to welfare. One thing that I would point out is that if you feel that you need to talk to someone, no matter how insignificant it is, don't leave it. Oh, and the last thing is, if you do need to make an appointment, the times are listed on the door of my room. You just write your name in a time slot. But I would point out that the appointment slots get booked up quite quickly. If it's urgent, catching me between sessions is the best idea. That way we can sort something out quickly. No questions?
Before the talk continues, look at questions 14 to 20. As you listen to the second part of the talk, answer the questions. For questions 14 to 19, circle the correct letter, A, B, or C. For question 20, write no more than 3 words for the answer.
OK. As regards you as students, the tutorials are voluntary. You're not obliged to attend, but you are encouraged to do so. Last year, for the first time, a register was kept of students attending lectures, and this year tutors are being asked to keep a register of tutorial attendance. This is not a formal register, and not all tutors will be doing it, but in the philosophy department, all of us have chosen to keep registers. Another point that's being emphasised this year is punctuality. When we did exit questionnaires, we found that people arriving late for tutorials and lectures was the single most annoying thing for the majority of students. I would therefore ask you to try to be on time for the tutorials, and for all your other classes for that matter. As regards the tutorials themselves, we will have a review of the philosophy lectures of the week before, with the discussion being led by one of you each week. There is, of course, some planning involved, but you should rely primarily on the notes you made at the lectures. This will not take up the whole of the 90 minutes allocated to the tutorial. For the rest of the time, we will look at a particular philosopher, period or concept for which you will be expected to do some preparation each week. This will range from reading about a particular individual or concept to preparing a brief outline on a subject of your choice. How much you put into this depends on you, but we're not expecting in-depth analysis at this stage. Are there any questions so far?
I'd just like to ask whether the work we do in the tutorials counts towards our continuous assessment, and if so, how much?
I was just coming on to that point. All the work you do in the way of essays and project work that is graded counts towards your continuous assessment grades. The mini presentations and lecture discussions will not be graded, but obviously, as time goes on, these activities will, I hope, have an impact on your work and hence your scores. Does that answer your question?
Basically, yes. But what about...
That's the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3.
You will hear a discussion between a professor and university students about online learning. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 27. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 27.
Good afternoon, everybody. As part of our education studies, we're going to continue our look at online learning and examine what it takes to be successful in this area. Perhaps I should start by asking you to answer the question. Yes, Edward?
Well, I guess one of the most important things for successful study would be discipline. I mean, you don't have to physically be in a class, so you'd have to really make sure you did your coursework.
Yes, this is correct. In fact, my first point relates directly to this. Make sure you regularly plan enough study and assignment time. I separate the two because although they relate, they're not exactly the same. With study time, you're focusing on general information as you plan for tests, but with assignments, you might be focusing on presenting more specific information. What else? Yes, Sylvia.
Well, it seems to me that before you even start studying, You should make a well-informed and carefully planned decision about which university you're going to study at.
Yes, I was going to say that too. It's important to work out where you're going to study first. And another thing you should consider is your career objective. Your course of study should relate to your job.
Absolutely correct. Once you've worked out where you want to study. Another thing to consider is your attitude towards study. You should build a positive attitude, take responsibility for your learning. Unlike regular classroom learning, no one will be there to stand over you and make sure that you do the work. As with regular learning, it's also important that you work hard in your own time to build your written and spoken language proficiency, as well as your ability to improve your analytical and logical reasoning. You should develop research skills which allow you to make the best use of your time. If you see something that might be helpful for an assignment, make a note of it.
What about note-taking skills? Would an online learner need well-developed skills in this area?
Good point, Pam. Lectures conducted online or via telephone will certainly require you to have good note-taking skills. Sometimes a copy of the lecture notes are available, but certainly you need to be able to take notes and write essays. They relate to your assignments. Another point often not considered is physical health. We all understand that physical health relates to mental health. Take care of your body by doing exercise and eating well, and you'll do better in your studies. My last point is simply to enjoy the experience. Learning should be fun. If you've put in the time to decide upon the best course for you, then enjoy yourself. Those who enjoy their course of study are those who will typically do well. So students should choose their course well.
Before you listen to the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 28 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 28 to 30.
I'd now like to discuss the assignment for this part of our coursework. Firstly, the assignment is due in 3 weeks. I've reserved information for you at the library. Speak to Carol and tell her you're in the education class. She'll allow you access to the materials I've reserved.
Professor, can we borrow them from the library?
Some of them can be borrowed, but only overnight because other students may need to have access to them. You'll have to complete an overnight sign-out form.
What about the length of the assignment?
No less than 1,500 words, and please, no more than 2,000.
What about the format?
I want that double-spaced and in Arial 12-point font. If you have any other questions, remember to either call my office or you might like to email me. My email address is...
That is the end of section 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.
Section 4. You will hear a lecture about the Great Barrier Reef. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 33. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 33.
Despite its name, the Great Barrier Reef isn't just one large coral reef. Rather, it's a system of coral reefs that stretches along the east coast of Australia, covering an area of around 300,000 square kilometres. The Great Barrier Reef is composed of approximately 3,000 individual reefs, which range in size from 1 hectare to more than 10,000 hectares each. In addition, around 600 islands are scattered throughout the area, particularly at the northern and southern ends. The reefs themselves are composed of over 400 different kinds of coral, the largest variety of corals found anywhere in the world.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 34 to 40.
Thousands of species of sea animals live in and around the reefs. Altogether, approximately 1,500 species of fish inhabit the reef area, including a number of different kinds of sharks. One of the more interesting mollusks to be found in the reefs is the giant clam. This huge shellfish can live for more than 100 years and can weigh as much as 200 kilos. Sea mammals abound in the area, which serves as a breeding ground for certain types of whales, many of which are endangered. Over 200 species of sea and shorebirds feed, roost or nest among the reefs and islands. Many types of reptiles can also be found living among and near the reefs. Saltwater crocodiles, for example, inhabit the marshes along coastal areas. Amphibians include at least 7 species of frogs inhabiting the islands of the reef. Unfortunately, this wondrous area of the world is threatened by climate change. Rising sea temperatures have led to an effect called coral bleaching, that is, large numbers of corals dying off, especially in the shallower areas of the reef. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority is attempting to find effective ways to deal with this issue that threatens the reef. One proposed solution involves shading the reef in certain areas to help keep the surrounding water temperatures down.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.